Good evening, ladies. Now, if you took the first 111 Behemoth Blockmaster episodes and put them in order from least original to most original, this episode would be the very end, probably. I know that a while back I said that episode 16 was pretty freaking original, which it was. But you gotta have some brains to come up with this topic, like, holy crap. I think this tops that. We need more of this original content on this channel. But the point is, video game mysteries are way better than freaking real life mysteries. Who the hell gives a crap how our ancient ancestors were able to carve perfectly into the stones of Göbekli Tepe or whatever the hell it was? Who cares about that when we're trying to figure out why Luigi wasn't in Super Mario 64, or even if he is? You know what I mean? Obviously that's sarcasm, but still, video game mysteries are pretty much as important. Video games aren't art, you say? Kiss my ass. Well, I recently discovered a streamer who is known by the name of Marcus. And I discovered him back in like June or something. I've taken an interest in watching his Mario Party streams with his friends and stuff, but he has an archive channel, which archive basically means like hidden, I think. I don't really know what archived means, but basically, if you search Marcus Archives, you'll find these videos, a lot of them. And I am in the middle of watching all the Donkey Kong 64 episodes, or whatever you call them. Now, I love the hell out of Donkey Kong 64, but I can kind of see how some people would think it's aged a little. Yes, it gets tedious trying to collect everything with each separate Kong, you know? Like, most of the collectibles, like 95%, are locked behind specific Kongs. And a Kong is basically just a monkey or whatever, in case you haven't figured that out. Casual players shouldn't have much of a problem with it. There's more than enough elbow room to miss out on some of the golden bananas and stuff and still beat the game. It's just that some of the requirements that you have to do to beat the game are kind of ridiculous. But at the very least, you should at least make it to the last level. I've never actually completed the game, but now I'm just blabbering on. So while watching Marcus, while he was in the Fungi Forest level, if you remember that little section where you go in as Tiny Kong and fight the crocodiles and you get the golden banana or whatever, it's a silly game. If you remember that part, then you may notice after you've killed the crocodiles and the golden banana spawns, you know, there's some weird pink bean that is like next to you. Now it looks giant, but you're supposed to be minuscule, tiny, like this big or something, so really it's a normal sized bean. But Marcus, when he saw that, he just looked at it for like 3 seconds and then he picked it up and he's like, okay, and didn't even say anything else about it. And you know, I've tried Googling Donkey Kong 64 pink bean, but I had no avail. I really don't know what this thing is supposed to do in the game. For those of you that are unfamiliar with collectathons, basically, there's a bunch of stuff to collect, a bunch of useless knickknacks and trinkets and stuff, you know. The genre has kind of died. It was revived recently, like a couple of years ago, sort of. But Donkey Kong 64 actually got a reward for having the most collectibles. In fact, it probably has a bit too many of them. I'm not gonna go off on a huge list of all the collectibles in Donkey Kong 64, but trust me, it's a lot. And if you do have any desire to complete this game 100% and get all those freaking collectibles, good luck. Because there's a dirt patch, if you know those parts of the game where you do your move and the dirt goes away and the huge freaking rainbow coin pops up and each Kong gets 5 coins. Well, one of those patches was found a couple of years ago underneath some grass that's usually hidden. So that just makes the whole thing even harder. I'd say if you're going to go for 100%, or they call it 101%, technically it should be 105% because there's 201 golden bananas, but I'm just... If you're going to go for 101%, stick with the golden bananas, they're the most important. But back to what I was saying earlier, collectathons usually have a bunch of crap to collect. Not all of these open sandbox things where you get, say, stars or whatever are technically collectathons. It usually means you're collecting a bunch of stuff. So Banjo-Kazooie, for example. Is Super Mario 64 a collectathon? I mean, it kind of is, but you're not collecting that much. Who cares? So basically, the point I'm trying to make here is, in most collectathons, there's usually some sort of main collectible, and then there's one or a few more sub-collectibles. In this game, it's up the ass. Donkey Kong 64. Yes, you have your main collectibles and a bunch of sub-collectibles. Too many, like I said earlier. But you also have level-specific collectibles, if you even want to classify them as collectibles at all. For example, in the Gloomy Galleon level. That level sucked crap, but, I mean, it wasn't terrible, it was just mediocre. But the point is, you can collect pearls in that level. The idea is that you're supposed to collect the pearls and give them to the mermaid. However, though, when you grab a pearl, a little speech bubble will pop up and say, "Oh sweet, I can give this to the mermaid," or whatever, something like that. So that's a level-specific collectible right there. This pink bean, on the other hand, though, when you collect it, nothing happens. It just pop and it's gone. There's no text. It doesn't even, like, fill up anything in your inventory or whatever. What is the purpose of this freaking thing? You could be saying, Kale, it's probably not that big a mystery. If you just talk to more of the NPCs, you might figure out what the purpose of that bean is, but you would at least think that a speech bubble would pop up whenever you grab it, kind of reminding the player what the purpose of it is. I mean, after all, there's a crap ton of collectibles anyway. We're going to forget some of it, unless we're, like, that good with the game. Now, I have about only 2 theories as to what this bean could be meant for, and one of them is a little iffy. Fungi Forest in Donkey Kong 64, well, aesthetically, it's not that much different than jungle japes. I mean, I know forests and jungles are quite different environments in real life, but is it that much different in a video game? Whatever, man. Fungi Forest is probably one of my favorite stages in the game anyway, so who cares? The point is, there's a giant beanstalk in that level. It's not there at first, you gotta do something to trigger it to pop up. Kind of forgot what you had to do to get that to happen, but we all know the story. It wasn't Jack and Jill, was it? Well, basically some kids have some magic beans and they put them in the ground and a big ass beanstalk just grows out of the ground. But to my knowledge, that's not what this bean is used for, because when I saw Marcus play the game, he had triggered the beanstalk before even getting to this pink bean. So I highly doubt that's what the bean is used for. Like, could there be another beanstalk they have to grow to go into the sky or something, or to get some sort of golden banana or whatever? I highly doubt that. Why would you put 2 giant beanstalks in the same level? The Fable didn't have 2 beanstalks, it's only 1. And I'm pretty sure this isn't just his playthrough that has the bean. Like, it's some sort of weird glitch, like a model of the game that wasn't meant to actually be in there. Because I'm pretty sure when I played the game that the same thing happened. The bean spawned and I picked it up and it went away. Look guys, the only reason I make an episode about this at all is because I don't see anybody like talking about this. Like, I tried Googling it, nothing came up. So obviously, this is a mystery, right? The only other possibility I can think of is that it was used for that stop and swap crap. Now I have to explain. So, the company that developed Donkey Kong 64 is known as Rareware. Rareware was at its peak, probably in the N64 era. They existed before that, but they're probably at their peak in the N64 until they were bought out by Microsoft in 2002. But we all know that. Basically, some employee at Rareware, or maybe a bunch of employees, but basically somebody had the idea that when they were making Banjo-Kazooie, and they already had the plans for Banjo-Tooie in their head, they realized that if you yank a cartridge out of the Nintendo 64, information from the game will still be in there for a few seconds. And they were like, what if we put content in Banjo-Kazooie and then you put in Banjo-Tooie, and you could get that content from one game to the other? Did that really come to their head? Like, did it not occur to them that just yanking a cartridge out of the console would cause some damage, probably? It's not good for the system or the game to do that. And also, newer Nintendo 64 models reduced that period of time down to 1 second. This means that you would have 1 second to yank Kazooie out of the system and put in Tooie. That's not a lot of time, even if you like have both games with you at that moment. Unless you're like super quick, for your average gamer, that's not enough time. But like I said earlier, it damages your console, so who thought this was a good idea? I'd like to know. Now these days, information from games gets stored in this console's CPU or GPU, whatever you call it. With the Xbox 360, with the re-releases of Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, they can now store that data in the system itself. A much safer method of doing this than just yanking the cartridge out while the console is still on. So the point I'm trying to make here is that possibly that pink bean from Donkey Kong 64 may have been used for a future game that maybe never got to come out. Maybe? I have no clue. I mean, like, when I saw the ice key in Banjo-Kazooie, it came to my mind that some people, if they also saw that same key, they probably wouldn't know what it's used for. I never figured out how you're supposed to get it either. But that's not the point. Honestly, guys, there could be just a simple explanation to what this bean is, but it's not coming to my head. I don't know what the bean is used for. Maybe it was an accident even. But at least with the pearls in Gloomy Galleon, they were there because there was a mermaid that was looking for them. Here, though, as far as my knowledge goes, no NPC ever brought up any information about a pink bean anywhere in the whole game, let alone in just Fungi Forest. So honestly, I don't know what the meaning behind this collectible is what I'm trying to say. If you know, please tell me. The fact that I couldn't even Google it means something is up. And frankly, nobody seems to care. It's actually kind of baffling. But I've been here long enough, so I will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.